Now, sir,
That's right.
in continuing from where we are now, how does one, are there some institutions in the country that can, train someone at least at first degree, a diploma level in this health, safety, and environment profession?
Right. Very nice question. Very good question. The profession of health, safety, and environment, and all the other variants, well-being and wellness, and so on, is quite new. It's not even up to 15 years. I think barely a decade old or so, or less. And it will interest you to know that we have some institutions of learning, high institutions of learning in Nigeria that's already running these programs as degree programs. For instance, the Petroleum Training Institute in Kevron, Delta State, they have a very comprehensive department that I know very well. Okay, that is at undergraduate level. At postgraduate level, I know for certain the Institute of Petroleum Studies in Port Harcourt, that's under the University of Port Harcourt. The IPS is controlled by Total. I'm sure those of us who know Total, one of the major players in the upstream sector, right? Oil and gas sector. So they manage that institute and they run postgraduate studies at master's and PhD level. University of Lagos has it as a program at master's level. University of Ibadan as well. So for those of us who are very close to the Southwest here, we have options. You have Lagos, you have Ibadan. Okay, you can go and build up, and you don't really have to have studied, anything related to health, safety, and environment at undergraduate level. All right, you only just there are some basic requirements. Maybe some ability to, calculate stuff, work in numbers. Like I keep emphasizing, being logical, processing information, and you apply for this masters or whatever you can get them. All right, so at least I know of these four institutions in Nigeria right now. And of course, if you're buoyant enough and you want to sail or fly away, then you have so many options in Europe and America.
Wow. Okay. And when you mentioned one of the institutions, I had a smile on my face because I am a testimonial or an evidence of one of the
Oh,
institutions.
an alumni, right?
Yes, I'm a representative of the Petroleum Training Institute. I attended PTI for my undergraduate training, and I promise you, for some of our viewers who have their ND or OND or HND, you could go there for that's for those having their OND, you could go to PTI for your HND program and then apply for the Industrial Safety Technology Department. There are in two options. One is Industrial Safety Technology and the other one is Environmental Technology. I promise you, there is good training there. I promise you, with a smile, you can take that to the bank. And I think I have some of my classmates or other alumni on this broadcast who can also confirm with the comments that that school, for one, has a short banker training for this profession. So most of our viewers who have their younger ones, who have their friends, their children, who they want to introduce into this profession early enough, you can introduce them to these schools so that they get the training, the basic training for this profession, so that when they come out, they can sail through seamlessly. Okay, sir. Coming on from the basic training, which is the higher institution training, I'm thinking there are some
Yeah.
specialized training, some certifications, professional training, and all that, which would help one get on board this profession easily. Can you highlight some of them for us so that our viewers and our audience can have an idea of what they need to do to get successful in this profession?
Okay, so thank you very much. I'm going to speak from a very unbiased point of view. I'm going to mention as many as I can think about. So you will take that as my own professional opinion, all right? So if you recall, in the intro, in any form of, higher, education, sort of like maybe university degree or polytechnic or college of education. All right. So if you haven't gotten that level of education to start with, you can go for the elementary level of training in health and safety, like the level 1, 2, 3, or whichever title or terminologies that the people out there, organizations use. I think that is the best have the level 3, AOSH level 3, that people can subscribe to, university training, education. You can actually go for, what we is that haven't gone to the university. When you are coming out now to the world of work, you're coming in a more senior capacity. Let's use the armed forces for instance now. Those who have graduated, they are employed as senior officers. So in the non-combatant, non-militarized sector of working, you should be a supervisor or a manager, or a coordinator. That's the capacity you should be working as a graduate. You understand? So if you want to take a course there, you should go for things that, have that level of information. So like your IELTS managing safely, or the NIBOSH International General Certificate. In fact, there's this very good one now. It's called the IOSH Level 3 Safety and Health in Business, all right? So, which is very, very good. You're not just taught about health and safety, you are taught about, business strategy, how to create value, not just from the point of view of health and safety, but how to contribute strategically, to the organization. All right. So when you have gotten that as a graduate, those are some very comprehensive trainings that you can build upon. You may now decide to specialize. Do you want to go into construction? You look for some courses that are, particular or peculiar to the construction industry. All right. If you're targeting the oil and gas, you want to begin to look at, things that have to do with process safety, maybe petroleum, transportation process, pipeline safety and all of those kind of things. If you work offshore, I think there's this course Kevron does, I think training on the floating production, offloading, storage and offloading vessel. All right. So depending if you're going into, there's some other things like fire safety. You can actually just focus on fire safety and become an expert in the field of fire safety. So anything fire arrest, fire suppression, fire alarm. Yes, please. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So
There's
so many of them that you can really specialize in like that, Yeah.
Wow, that's very, very insightful. The beautiful thing about these professional certifications, and Kevron have many of them, I would want you to go on our website, kevronconsultinglimited.com, to find out many of our courses, the HSE level 1, 2, 3, the IOSH level 3 for safety and health in business, the IOSH managing safely, the IOSH working safely, the advanced project safety management course. There are many of them that the beautiful thing about professional certification, Mr. Godson, sir, is that it puts you in a better light in the sight of your employer or your prospective employer. Right. Because when you are an existing employee of a company, and then you come up with a certificate that, sir, I've gotten IOSH managing safely, IOSH level 3, they'll say, wow, you are really interested in building your level of competence, and it will give you, a better position in the place where you are currently working. And it also gives our freshers a very good starting point for them to come into this health and safety profession. So you can walk into our office.
Let me even quickly add that, the thing about these certifications that you've talked about, what many people don't know is this. As you build, you don't just build one part of your life and then have a sort of jaundiced growth. Your growth has to be balanced, So you have gone to university, you've done internships, or you've gotten some level of experience. If you want leverage, I tell you, there is no brother in the jungle. The world of work is highly competitive. It's highly competitive. You have a first class, there are 50 other people from Kevron University that have first classes before you begin to talk about University of Lagos and University of Ibadan. All right. You have a 2-1, there are 1,001 other people that have 2-1s, but you need to have that leverage that will set you apart from the lot. And that is where these certifications come in. They give you that edge, the competitive advantage. Now, for instance, me as an employer, when I look at you, I see your degree and I see the level of experience that you have, and I look at every other applicant and I see their own degrees and level of experience they have. What is that thing that will set you apart from the lot? I need to look at the certifications that you have done. I will and say, oh, this is somebody who is building, not just building his own capacity, but he wants to add value, he wants to add value to any place he finds himself. And that's the type of people that employers look for. They don't just look for people who come and collect salary. They look for people who want to come and, change the narrative in the
What are you
organization.
bringing to the
Let
table?
well the bottom
Yes.
line, if you like, permit my use of the language.
Yes. Wow, that's very interesting. Our viewers, please, your comments are coming in. Keep them coming in. Keep the likes, keep the love coming in, and also just make a signal that you are getting value from this session. I'm sure our consultant guest is churning out so much information from his wealth of experience. Thank you so much, sir, for how far we discussed, and I'm hoping that our audience are getting value from this live session. Yeah, going forward now, let's discuss now. Our viewers or our target audience, they are fresh graduates, young employees, and all that. What is a typical career progression for this health, safety, and environment profession? When someone starts from level A, what is a typical level 2, level 3, level 4 in the professional industry?
Oh, interesting question. All right, so let me use myself as an example. For somebody who's schooled, let me use myself as an example now, who's schooled outside the shores of this country, most times your first foray, most times, it doesn't happen all the time though, but most of the time, you start out as either a health and safety administrator, all right? So what do administrators normally do? They are confined to the office. They file documentation, they take records, they pass it on, and all those health and safety communication. That is what they do. Now, in the process of doing that, you are getting exposed to how these things are done because from the field, the information is sent to you. You are in the office. Now, very similar to the role of the health and safety administrator is a health and safety assistant. All right. So you are an assistant to the main guy, for instance. So the main guy could be the health and safety supervisor or the health and safety manager, but you're an assistant. So you are assisting him. Now, if you start out either as an health and safety assistant or a health and safety administrator, the typical progression line is to now become either a health and safety officer or the health and safety inspector. Now, the curious thing here is this, the nomenclature varies per organization. So an organization might have a health and safety officer, and when you compare his level of responsibility, and the level of weight he pulls with another organization who has the same thing, that person in the second organization might be an health and safety coordinator, all right? Excuse me,
Sorry.
or the health and safety supervisor. But typically it goes this way. So you start out as, a health, safety and environment, administrator or an assistant. Then you become, an inspector because at minimum, you want to go and identify risk, hazards and risk. So your next important job is to become an inspector. After you become an inspector, the next is to become a health and safety officer. All right. From an officer, you now become a supervisor. From a supervisor, you now become a coordinator. Coordinator now, at the level of coordinating, it means that there are a number of people, all right, that you are responsible for. So you can have either one or two health and safety inspectors under you, or you can have a health and safety administrator, a health and safety inspector, or two of them under you as the safety coordinator. Now, from the safety coordinator, you now become the health and safety manager. Now, also, the definition of these terminologies could vary per industry and they could vary per organization. But we know that being a manager, you control, already begin to control, resources. You are now responsible for budgeting, you can allocate resources, you can, give queries and all of that. And you also have the health and safety officers and coordinators and inspectors working under you. All right. But as you progress, depending on how big the organization is, the next thing you might become maybe the safety director, all right? Or you could become the head of health and safety, okay? Or you could also become the group head. Some organizations that are groups, for instance, group of companies, all right? So let's use Kevron Group as an example. So you have Kevron Consulting, you have the logistics departments, you have the fleet and so on and so forth, all the other, aspects of the company. So if you have a health and safety guy overseeing all the subgroups of Kevron Group, then you could as well call him group head, health and safety, or country head as designation. So that's usually the ambition. For those who work, if you have an employer, your ambition is to get to the top of the ladder to become the group head
Yes.
someday. So I hope our viewers, all of us will get to the summit of our careers someday, hopefully.
Yes, sure. Wow, wow. So definitely there is always room for improvement. You don't start from level one and remain on level one. And the tendency of growth would be based on your level of capacity, your level of competence. And that's why your exposure, the value you bring to the table, the value you bring to the organization would matter in the speed of growth. Some
Very
persons may
critical.
be at
That's right.
one level for 1 year. Some persons may be at that level for 2 years or 3 years, depending on the level of value you bring to the organization, which will determine your level and speed of growth. So our viewers, our audience, I'm sure you would want to grow in the career and grow very fast. And that's what we all want. So increase your level of capacity, increase your competence, train yourself, expose yourself to knowledge, and also be
Get
very,
those
very keen
specialist
for mentor.
training, get those certifications, you know.
Yes, yes. Increase your competence at different levels. You want to find out what certification do I need to get at this level. You grow to another level. What do I need to know? What's different should I should I get for me to be able to go to the next level? Very interesting. So our audience, please drop your questions in a very short time. We'll be taking your questions and throwing more light to areas where you need clarification, and we'll be watching out for them and taking them very, very soon. In any aspect of life, Mr. Godson, there is always challenges. From you being a
Mm.
baby to crawling, you want to walk. Yes, you want to walk, but in walking, there's a challenge. There are risks here and there. So how do one manage, or what are the challenges in this health, safety, and environment profession so that our viewers, our audience have an idea of what they are going to face while they are coming in?
Right. Very interesting question. You know, people think life is a bed of roses, but it isn't exactly a bed of roses. But the good thing is that even when you have roses, there may be a bit of thorns in there. But that is not to say that we should be discouraged. I think one key thing about this profession, particularly when you are starting out, you know, initially, is that you tend to commit longer hours than most people, you know, because you are responsible for the safety of the people on site. Okay. So you find that most organizations, when they have the capacity, they have more than one safety officer. That's to mitigate the issue of working for too long. So for the morning shift, an officer takes care of that. And then maybe for the night shift, another person takes care of that. But for organizations that don't have the capacity, it is an individual that addresses most of these things. So you find that the safety guy works for very, very, very long hours because the moment he's not there to supervise and inspect, things might
Yes.
go wrong.
Wrong.
Now, another challenge is, particularly in our own climb, where the knowledge and the awareness is still growing. You know, many people still have not really known the value that health and safety, particularly environmental management, adds to the business. So you hear, safety officers saying, "Yes, I'm in this job, but I'm not getting the respect I need." Sometimes project managers tell me, please don't slow down my business. Sometimes at the board meeting, they will say, safety, you only consume money, you only consume money. How much value are you bringing in, and stuff
Yes.
like that. But what they fail to realize is that by the time you quantify the value that the safety officer brings in, for instance, that he has saved you from some certain expenditure, maybe from the amount of money you would have spent in replacing a broken down equipment, or amount of money you would have spent in compensation, or in treatment of a sick worker or an injured worker. Trust me, when you do a reverse calculation, you find that the amount of money you're trying to save by not having a safety professional on site, you're going to lose times 8. It has been proven that 8 times that amount of money will be lost when
Wow.
some things go wrong, you know. And then what are the other challenges? I still want to use Nigeria as an example. Very few organizations, as I said, since they're still trying to, know the real value of the health and safety officer. And most times it's because of the way the safety guys, position themselves. All right. So if the health, safety, and environment professional positions himself very well, okay, makes his input does not just is not just restricted to health and safety matters, technical matters on the field, but also contribute strategically to the growth of the business. Okay, when the marketing team are are discussing what inputs are you making, and all of that, then you can find that the regard will most definitely increase. But when that is not done, uh, there might be a bit of challenge. Another thing again that I might say might be a bit of the challenge is maybe in terms of pay. I think pay is a big challenge everywhere in Nigeria. Labor is on strike tomorrow, police are on strike the next day, and so on and so forth. All right. But if you find yourself in an organization that shares the same vision for health and safety with you, I tell you, it is one of the highest paying jobs in the world. Statistically speaking, in the US, for instance, it is in the top 15. So when you leave school, you shouldn't earn less than 80 to $90,000 per annum. Talking about the United States of America. In the UK, it's also quite lucrative. And even in Nigeria, going away from industries, sectors like oil and gas, telecoms, and maybe the utilities, energy and utilities, those power companies. There are some other companies that have also valued health and safety, like the FMCGs, manufacturing and production companies. They pay health, safety, and environment professionals very well. So you shouldn't be discouraged, really. You shouldn't be discouraged. Just being resilient as you climb the
Wow.
ladder. Everything will be sorted.
It looks like you had a sneak peek on my notes. I was going to ask for our audience so that they will have an idea of what the health safety and environment professionals earn, so that they understand what is their compensation at the end of the day while working in this profession. But you've already hinted on that. So our audience, we are gradually coming to a close of this session, and I'm sure if you've gotten value for this session, send your love, send your likes, send your reactions, send your questions so that we can address them in a very short time. So, Mr. Godson, while we wait for questions to come in, I'm sure you can just give an overview of your experience so far in the health, safety, and environment profession while I collect the
Right.
questions.
I think you will find my story a bit interesting. Okay. So my initial experience, or should I say my training, was not in anything environment, health and safety. It was nothing EHS or SHE or HSC as you know it today. All right. I'm a very technical guy. Okay. Chemical. All right. So, but I remember when I went for my industrial attachment, the company I went to, or I applied and I was accepted. Interestingly, I was hoping I would be sent to either the factory, the factory floor, but probably it was a vegetable oil processing company, the subsidiary of UAC of Nigeria, you know. But when I got there, the HR manager said, "Oh, the oil plant is filled up." And the next place was the feed mill. The feed mill was also filled up. This were the places where you had engineers. You see the technical, you see the machines. You see those sprockets and all of those things. So you can get your hands dirty. And then the next option would have been the lab, all right, where chemical engineers and the chemistry guys were. But interestingly, even at the lab was full. And I'm like, okay, you guys accepted me for this industrial attachment. Where do you want me to work? And the man said, put him in she. I quote him. He said, go to she. And I'm like, I am he. He asking me she. I should go to she. Well, I don't get how does that relate? So I now started, I met the head of, the she department. And frankly speaking, that was the turnaround in my life. At undergraduate level, before I graduated, that industrial attachment exposed me to health, safety, and environment. When I finished, although I didn't practice immediately, I had a foray, like a brief stint in banking. So I worked in the bank. But while I was there, I had the slightest opportunity I had to escape. I went to the United Kingdom and I did a master's in, the science of occupational health, safety, and environment from the University of Birmingham. So there I now got the needed understanding, the foundational knowledge, and I built upon it because there are also opportunities for, internship and, industrial visits, okay? And then some jobs after then. That was how my career, or should I say, my adventure in this industry
Wow.
started.
Wow.
Right? So I didn't initially start up to be, health and safety professional. when I wrote my JAM, as a Nigerian uh, graduate.
Wow, that's interesting. So we have a question from Facebook from um, Kelechi Anemeje. I hope I got that name right.
That's right.
So the person is asking, doing my internship in HSE, although is 1 year experience, and I have done OSHA supervisory course, please, at this level, what do I need to do to move higher in this field? So the person has an internship experience of 1 year, and I've also done the OSHA supervisory course. So what is the next level? Yes.
Okay, thank you, Kelechi. If you can hear me, thank you for sending in your question. Right. So, the thing with health and safety, I want to assume that you're currently unemployed or you're probably in an industry you would love to change from. Okay. The world of work, the work environment in Nigeria is highly competitive. It's tight. It's really tight. And you already have a level of certification and you have some internship experience as well. What I would advise you to do, you have up to a year's experience in internship, which is quite enormous. I mean, many people just have 6 months and they land roles. Maybe you can send in, details about yourself, which city you are in, because sometimes you may have these things, but your location can also be a disadvantage. If you are in an environment where you don't have organized companies and industries, it can be a challenge. However, learning never stops. Capacity building should never end. Okay. I tell you today that knowledge multiplies every six months. So if you knew something 6 months ago, you have not improved on that knowledge, you are old school. Okay. You are old school. As somebody who logged in on Facebook maybe in June during the lockdown and did not log in again until January 2021, he'll be shocked. The interface and everything would have changed. So knowledge does improve. So yes, you have your OSHA supervisory course. There is a certification from the US. You can also build on that. You can also get other certifications. For instance, OSHA, is the Safety and Health, administration of the United States. We also have certifications from the United Kingdom. All right, because you want to be as competitive as possible. You don't know, maybe your employer might actually value certificates that come from America. Some might actually value certificates that come from the UK. All right. But while at that, because these things cost money, they are not free, still continue to look for opportunities to either intern or to volunteer. And trust me, they will eventually pay off. They will pan out well in the end. You don't have to give up. This world of today is for the people who are resilient, all right? Those who don't give up. Those are the people that, the
Wow.
world is for. So please keep at it, Mr. Kelechi.
Thank you for that response, and I'm sure Kelechi has gotten a response
And
to the
sorry, let
question
me,
that
let
I
me,
was
sorry,
asking.
let me, Emmanuel, let me quickly add that you also need to check your network. I talked about your location, all right? Do you belong to what professional groups and bodies do you belong to? So we have, the Institute of Safety Professionals in Nigeria, though there's a bit of challenge with the leadership, there's a leadership tussle issue. We have the, IOSH, Nigerian chapter, that is the Institution for Occupational Safety and Health. It's a UK-based organization, and it's really, it's a massive organization in Nigeria today. We have the ASSP, Association of Safety Professionals. I think it's a US-based organization, and there are so many of them. So sometimes, if you stay in isolation, you can be very, very competent, but because you have not mingled, people don't know you. You send your applications, and in this industry, 9 times out of 10, you get jobs by referral. All right. So your network is your net worth, as they say. So check, join professional groups, join associations, and get yourself connected somewhere.
Yeah, to confirm to you, Kelechi, the importance of networking. I'm sure I can confirm that my first internship as a health safety and environment professional was a result of a networking event. I attended like one of the associations you mentioned, American Society of Safety Professionals. When I attended that conference they had sometime in 2015, We were very young from my school then, and then they were like, who are these young ones coming to this conference? We showed ourselves that we're very interested in profession. We were inquisitive. We were asking questions. We were meeting, sir, can I know you? Give me your card and all that. And I tell you, some months later, we got a call in school that there was opportunity for internship. So networking events, they are very, very important in building
That's
you
right.
in this profession. Yes. So I think Kelechi is a lady. So at this level, you should also increase your network. So there's another question also from Facebook from Yewande Fatima Ando. She said, I have a
Okay.
question. With respect to the career progression you explained, at what point or level do you get to move to another level, especially with the number of certifications involved? I hope that question
Right.
is clear.
So that's an interesting question. Okay. So most organizations have uh, their own organogram that is peculiar to them. All right. So how it operates in Kevron might not exactly be the same way it operates in, say, Chevron per se, or Total, or Schlumberger. Do you understand? And then again, it also depends on the size of the organization. So most times it is a known secret that if you are working in a big organization, particularly all these multinationals, for you to grow from maybe the health and safety administrator to become a manager, for instance, I've worked in the bank before, and for you to qualify for promotion, you have to be on a roll for at least 3 years, except you're a marketer. And why it's different for marketers is because, or maybe you meet your target or you exceed your targets, you can be promoted next year. But for most people, you have to be on a roll for at least 2 to 3 years. Now, think of the size of the organization and then all the ranks in between, from your entry level graduate trainee right up to, the managerial, maybe assistant manager to deputy manager to manager. In fact, the larger the organization, the longer the procedure. So your chance of getting to the top is actually shortened when you're working in a mid-sized organization, all right? And trust me, you actually learn more when you're working in a mid-sized or small organization because you are exposed. When you're in a big organization, most times it's the managers, the supervisors that do the job. They only just give you maybe things to document and all those kind of things. I have been there, I've seen it, So, but if uh, you one day is listening, I think it will vary, but you rise faster when you are in a mid-sized or small organization than a big organization. Sometimes you could be in an organization for up to 20 years and you'll not be a manager, not because you're not competent, just because there are just too many people,
Sure.
too many
Yes.
people.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much for the response and the answer to that question. I'm sure Yewande has gotten the feedback or the information that she wanted asking that question. All right, so we are about rounding up this session. I appreciate all our viewers. I appreciate those connecting from Lagos, from Delta State, from Ibadan, from outside the country. We appreciate you. And we are going to have another live session by February. So be on the lookout on our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on our website. Information will be sent there at every time. And also the way you were contacted for this live session, you'll also be contacted again. So for the information on our courses, the IELTS Managing Safely, IELTS Working Safely, the Level 3 for Safety and Health in Business, the FPSO, the Project Management Safety courses, they are all on our website. And I'll advise you to take your time to visit our website and study the courses and then reach out to us for anyone that you would want to do. Mr. Gossin, thank you very much for this opportunity to have this live session with you. We
Thank
appreciate your wealth of knowledge
thank you.
and we appreciate all the information that we've been able to glean from you. And I'm sure that our audience have gotten so much value from this session. Thank you very much again. We are going to be signing out very soon from this live webinar, and we hope to have you again
Thank
by
you.
February when we'll have another live session. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Stay safe and
A pleasure.
keep your family together. Thank you very much.